The Kansas City Chiefs took down the Tennessee Titans in overtime in what could be described as an ugly game on Sunday night, and we're going to talk about it right now. Thanks for being here today. I am Steve, and I'm here with Mike, and we do Kansas City Chiefs news, analysis, and more. If you're new here, make sure to hit that sub button right now and give us a thumbs up. It helps us get into the algorithm. Mike, what do we got going on?
I think the theme to this game, Steve, has to be that it was frustrating, man. Like, did it feel like we were in quicksand? Did it feel like we were banging our heads against a wall? Did it feel like Mahomes had 400 plus yards passing? This whole game is very odd to me. It just felt weird.
No, I think that everyone watching the game got Cincinnati Bengals vibes. I got Indianapolis Colts vibes. It was that same team that we've said before that if they don't get a run game established and they don't start calling some better plays on offense and get that offense into a rhythm, that we're going to continue to watch. And we said that. And guess what? We had to watch it again tonight. Just so happened they squeaked out a lucky win, and it wasn't a loss, but that was just as bad as those losses.
Yeah, so the number one thing we said we had to do was stop the run. Derrick Henry had 17 carries for 115 yards and 2 touchdowns. And in the first half, we looked like we couldn't tackle anybody. It was, again, frustrating.
Right. And might I add that Derrick Henry was not on the field particularly a whole lot. I felt like we only saw him half the game. Even questioned if maybe he had a nagging injury or something at one point because they were using Hassan Haskins. So, yeah, I mean, he could have done a lot more damage maybe.
Yeah, so we were all thinking Nick Bolton was going to have a monstrous game. Nick Bolton had 1 tackle today, man. 1 tackle.
It was a big play.
This might be the worst game Nick Bolton's played in his entire career.
In his defense, he was getting held the entire game a lot. But yeah, only getting 1 tackle, that's not good. It was a big play. It was a great time. It got the crowd pumped. Got us some momentum. But yeah, that was a lackluster performance there by Nick Bolton.
Yeah, so I would think we kind of stopped the run. I'll say we stopped the run in the second half enough. I'll give us like a half a point on that one. Number 2, we said we had to get into an offensive rhythm. We had to start off throwing, quick passes. We had to get a little bit of run game established. It felt like the first drive we did that, and we moved the ball all the way down the field. Nice, beautiful drive. Again, it stalls out before we put up the 6. But otherwise, we went away from that completely until maybe overtime, maybe. I think that might have been when it started to look the same again. And it's like, why do we continue to do this with this offensive play calling?
Right. And I don't think I even need to talk about this. I think we just give it a -1 in that category and put us back at minus 0.5 because it was atrocious. The play calling is absolutely ridiculous. I know the offensive line is going to catch a lot of heat, which we'll talk about more in a minute. But when you're calling terrible routes to where these are taking, 5 seconds plus to develop and Mahomes is hanging onto the ball entirely too long, what do you think's going to happen, man? I mean, you got to switch it up.
Look at the countless 3rd and short situations and the play calls on those. Half the time, Mahomes had the ball and ran a crazy play. We only ran the ball like 1 time on 3rd and 1. It was a god-awful handoff up the middle to Burton, and we knew it was coming. The 4th down play, the subsequent play to Clyde, he does pick it up, but that is another horrible play call, in my opinion. Took too long to develop. Look at the 2-point conversion. We had 3 cracks at that, and we run the same 3 crappy plays over and over, it looked like.
Right.
Dude, I just don't get it sometimes. These coaches outsmart themselves way too much, and it feels it's so annoying to know that we are such a juggernaut on offense, and yet we just keep putting these players in positions that are horrible.
Absolutely. I think overall, even though that we're sitting at 6-2, and we know the coaching staff's a good coaching staff, that's not a question. But I feel like they are failing this year somewhat. Like they're not putting these guys in good position. You're not getting a lot of productivity out of guys that you could be. The play calling is just so iffy. And I mean, I'm to the point where I think if Eric Bieniemy really is the guy calling plays, Andy Reid, it's about time to, step in and change this thing up because we've seen way too many games this year where this offense looked lost and terrible with all the weapons they got. That's just unacceptable.
Yeah, again, Mahomes was 43 for 68. He passed the ball 68 times tonight, 446 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. I want to be honest. I don't know how in the world he had 446 passing yards. I don't.
He threw the ball 68 times.
It was
what
so
a,
weird.
What a balanced offense that Eric Bieniemy called today, guys. Isn't that great?
By the way, the running backs had 13 carries for 14 yards.
I think in the regulation they only had like 7. So, dude, I mean, it's just unreal.
It was unbalanced. Nobody ever got in a rhythm. Running backs can't get in a rhythm. Our offensive line is constantly having to deal with like too much pressure. Again, Tennessee didn't blitz a lot, but still, This will get us into point number three. Point number three was we said the offensive line had to hold up against this defensive line. We thought Tennessee's defensive line was a downgrade from some of the guys we had been playing, but these guys give us more problems than Max Crosby and Chandler Jones did.
Yeah, that's true. And the offensive line, there were a lot of plays where it wasn't necessarily their fault. Mahomes is killing his offensive line, and I think that might be a product of bad play calling. I mean, you got these guys out there that are not open. He's looking for something to be open. Granted, there are a lot of times when Mahomes refuses to take the 3 to 5 yard passes that are wide open. Heck, we even saw him not throw it to a wide open McCole Hardman for a touchdown. I could have made that pass, and he looked at him and didn't throw the ball. So
Yeah.
Mahomes has got to get out of these yips, and he's got to get the ball out. He's got to be more decisive. And yeah, I mean, the offensive line can improve. That's not a secret. But it's not fair to put it all on the offensive line when you're looking at terrible play calling. They're not setting up anything with a run. I mean, it's like you said, it's a lot of pressure on them, and that's just all there is to it. They're going to crack eventually.
Mahomes has 446 yards, a touchdown, like 60 yards on the ground and a touchdown, and he had an 80.9 QBR. It's crazy to think that Mahomes, I feel like, played a pretty subpar game, and he could put up these kinds of numbers on this team. And it's like, it's so, again, it's frustrating because if Mahomes would settle himself, take what the defense gives him, how good could we be? It's insane.
Yeah, think about that. Everything that went right for the Titans in this game, it was like there were acts of God on that punt, on that interception. Just everything was going their way. And we look like the same team from the Bengals game last year in the AFC Championship second half. That's what we looked like the entire game. So terrible, awful, worst performances that you can imagine from this team. And they still beat the Titans, who were 5-2 coming into this game. That's unreal. The potential that we have to unlock on this team. We could have blown the Titans off the field, no questions. I mean, they've got to get to that point, or they're going to end up having one of these stinkers right in a playoff run. And I mean, what are you going to do?
Dude, how crazy was it that Kelsey looked so frustrated and just out of sorts all day long? And then you look down at the stat sheet and he's got 10 catches for 106.
Right. Well,
where did that come from? I feel like I didn't watch the game properly.
Travis Kelsey gets held more than anybody in the National Football League. I'll argue that to the death. Every play out there, he gets chipped, held, hit, something. I mean, even the one that the flag in the end zone there for holding on the defense, Kelsey got so frustrated that he literally smacked dude's helmet off because he's so tired of getting bear hugged and it not getting called. Him. But no, this goes back to what I said about Chris Jones a couple weeks ago. If you're getting held that bad, do something to make it obvious. You have to do something or else they're just not going to call it. Heck, smack his helmet off. Who cares? At least it brought attention to that. Hey, he's getting held. That's what happened there. The same way with Chris Jones. Oh, he tripped the quarterback because he was getting held so bad. That's what these guys got to do. I was happy to see that from Kelsey.
Right. So with point number 3, our O-line versus our D-line, the D-line eat our offensive line's lunch for the majority of the day. I give it a negative right there. I think we're minus 1.5 going into number 4. And number 4 was win the turnover battle. Mahomes threw a pick. I don't think Tennessee turned the ball over at all today, did they?
No, Tennessee's just a god-awful offense if Derrick Henry's just not running all over you. I mean, they have no weapons. They had a rookie quarterback who he's jumping from Liberty to the NFL. That's ridiculous. So he needs a lot of time before he's, comfortable in the NFL. They have no weapons on the team other than Derrick Henry, and Robert Woods is their best receiver. After that, I can't even name the other receivers on the Titans. I really can't. I mean, they just don't have a lot to work with. Very, very subpar offense. And the defense, I think overall, if you look at the game as a whole, our defense won this game. Point blank. Yeah, when they first started the game, early in the game, the run defense looked atrocious, but you are going against the best running back in the league. He will make things happen. So I can excuse that a little bit as long as they get on the back end and adjust and make some good plays. And that's exactly what they did. I think this whole thing's on the offense here.
Yeah, so we actually didn't win that one. That's another point down. And so if you go to number 5, we said new look secondary. How will they look without Fenton? Will they hold up? I thought our secondary looked good. McDuffie. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to look bad against a team like the Titans who run a high school offense that revolves around nothing but running the ball at the gut.
A read option. That's what we were doing in middle school,
So, I mean, I think we win that one. But for the day, we're in the negatives here on the top 5 keys. And that goes to our point. we were handed a gift because if the Titans were any competent team whatsoever, I have no idea how they were 5-2 on the season. They looked horrible. We looked horrible as well. Don't get me wrong, but still, we were 21 points better than this team minimum.
Right. And I will give their defensive line some credit. Their defense did play good. You can't take that away from them, but they were playing the worst version of the Chiefs offense. I mean, it wasn't like we had a Chiefs offense that's firing on all cylinders and they were just stopping it. Like this was a bad showing by the Chiefs offense, and they still managed to get 400 plus yards passing and win the game. I mean, it's just silly to me, but overall, this was a terrible game for Kansas City. The only thing that I can say, I think that they were very resilient and you saw them not give up. That's the only thing that I can take positive from this game, other than maybe the defense had a good game. Trent McDuffie, he shut down. I mean, it's so funny because that guy's a rookie. He's been out this, 4 or 5 weeks now with a hamstring injury. He comes in and shuts them down. You're looking at a quarterback. Granted, it's a run first offense, and Malik Willis is a rookie. But at one point, I think late in the fourth quarter, he had 80 yards passing. So, I mean, you have to give some props to the secondary. So, overall, a negative 1.5 on reaching the 5 keys to beat the Tennessee Titans that we laid out. So, that's why this game went to overtime. That's why they looked bad in overtime. And we got handed a gift, like you said. There's definitely some issues to work out, some things we got to get straight. One that I can think of right off the top of my head is Harrison Butker. He's missing a lot of short field goals and a lot of extra points. And it's not just attributed to that injury because this was going on at the end of last year as well. So I think there's an actual issue there. They need to figure out what's going on with Butker and either get it straight or maybe move on.
Yeah, we got to figure out this Butker thing. This is going to cost us going down. Butker looked like our golf shots just shanking out to the right every time, It was coming off his foot bad. I don't know if it's the hold. I don't know if the balls aren't being prepped right. We got to figure it out. This is something that could cost us late. We know Butker's got a good leg. He's just got to get it together. I don't know what it is. But yeah, this game was frustrating, man. Again, just frustration. It was so bad, dude. It made me drop an F-bomb in front of Pop Pop tonight. I mean, how bad is it?
You did, and I missed it. I didn't even catch it the first time. I was like, why is everybody looking at Mike? It's because he dropped an F.
Dude,
you were dropping Fs like Kelsey.
If you drop me and Kelsey was the only ones that just knew it was F-bomb worthy. This game sucked.
Yeah, you were saying what everybody else wanted to say. I cannot stand watching this team when they play like they did tonight. I'm just going to throw that out there. It's not fun.
Me
It's
either.
like watching paint dry. It's frustrating. It makes you hate everybody and everything.
I would have rather been at the dentist than watch another play of that game.
Right.
That's how horrible it was. When it went to overtime, I was begging, like, why couldn't we just have a tie rule? Like, I didn't want to see any more of it. That's how bad it was. But anyway, we got the win, man. So that's all that counts, I guess.
We'll take it. One positive thing from tonight was that Kadarius Toney actually got on the field and got some experience. He didn't look bad. He had a couple of receptions. What do you think about that, Mike?
I think he actually could have got more plays. I think if we had got him more involved with specific plays, such as what we did in the first, drive, I think our offense would have looked better. I really do. I think he needed probably 5 or 6 touches tonight.
Right. He has a lot of playmaking ability. And if you guys haven't seen his highlights before, make sure to watch them right now. Thanks for liking, subscribing, and hitting that bell. And we are going to catch you next time.
Peace.
Aside from my soul.